Hey guys, it's FallenDice, and welcome to episode 9 of FallenDice Plays Better Than BuildCraft. Although I should put it in a disclaimer and say welcome to episode 9, take 2. Um, I recorded the entire episode. I went to go and start editing, and I still don't know what happened, but all of the videos ended up getting squeezed in. So like the size you see, it showed everything that you see, but in half the size. So it was squeezed in real tiny. I'll probably just throw something in here just so you can kind of see what it looks like or what it looked like. So yeah, all right. Here's what it looked like. Hey guys, Fallen Dice here, and welcome to episode 9 of Fallen Dice Plays Better Than BuildCraft. Yeah, and the entire video ended up looking like that, which was really rather upsetting and disappointing. Hours and hours of footage I'd gone through. Um, Possibly might not be the worst thing because I know I did a lot of rambling and stuff, but it's kind of sad because we got how things look, but half the fun is getting there. And I know some people do their world tours where they do everything off camera, and then they show you on their video. I think it's kind of fun to do kind of a combination, not necessarily showing the entire thing as it happens, but to at least be a part of it. Um, well, anyway, so as you can tell, we have upgraded to the latest and greatest Better Than BuildCraft. So we now have gates. Um, it's kind of funny how this was my initial design, and it was so I could show how things worked. And this was my plan for my piping systems, which I still plan on doing it, or I shouldn't say my tanks. So you see over here, we got a steam engine here, steam engine here, steam engine here. This was to show you that if you have it set here, it's going to give you space for both. And I'm jumping ahead, man. I explained everything, so let me all start from scratch again. All right, so if you hadn't already um, looked into the upgrades for BuildCraft 3. Wherever they are right now, they just call it 3.x. It's still in alpha, hasn't quite gotten to beta, but Better Than BuildCraft upgraded to support it, so I decided to make the jump. So with this, we get gates that we can now include on our pipes. So we'll start over here. This one is saying, well, we'll explain them. Here is where you put different events, and it gives you lots of choices on what the possible events can be. We'll go back in here, say an empty pipe, liquid traversing the pipe, empty tank, liquid in the tank, space for liquid, tank full, redstone, signals on or off. So I can basically, whatever our event that we're saying is, if it's true, this will light up, it'll go red, and whatever you tell this to do over here will happen. So in this case over here, we're saying if there is space for liquid, we're going to send a red pipe signal. You can see this red piping going across here. It's not the same as redstone, it's red piping. As you can see over here, this tank is full, so at the moment, this event is false. So we have nothing there. Now, if I were to go over here, let's go ahead and find me a tank so I can have somewhere to pump this. Okay, now if I go over here and turn on this pump, we start pumping the water from this tank into that tank. And as you can see, there's now a red, well, the red piping has lit up. And that is because, as we can see now, the space for liquid over here is true. So we now have the resulting instruction happening. When we come over here, this one's saying if there is a red pipe signal to supply a redstone signal. Now that we have a redstone signal coming out anywhere of these 4 adjacent blocks, we now provide power to the steam engine. So we're able to use that to say, like, if in my my power plant, if I have, say, 5, 6 different tanks going up and down next to each other, I can now set this up so as my water comes in, it's going to first of all fill up the first tank, or I should say the last tank, however we do it. But and then I'll have a setup like this going all the way across. So if the tank that this one is connected to is empty, it'll send the signal back to here to pump, and it'll pump into that tank to fill it up, and it'll keep kind of cascading down until all my pipes are filled. And that's how I can basically make sure that I don't have to have my water going into each one of the tanks. I can have them coming into like one tank, and then the signal or the logic here filling up the other ones for me. See, where do we go next? I guess the next step would be to take you to my new flat test world where I had constructed my future power plant. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so here is my setup, and as I said in my initial one, it doesn't have to be this spread out. I did it purposely like this to make it simpler to see what was happening here as I do my description. Now if we come over here, I've got 4 OR gates. And it could be OR and, it really didn't matter because I'm only using each one of these for one thing. But as you can see, I have, I'm not sure why that's yellow there. I have yellow here, but it's not going all the way down across. It's only coming up to this point. So, as you see, I have this labeled yellow. If I flip this switch, my gate says I am going to send, if there's power supplied to this gate, we're going to send a yellow pipe signal. So if we come across here, we see that the yellow pipe signal has now indeed activated. And if we come all the way down to the end, this gate here, I'm just going to get off the piping, I think that's what happened over there, says if I receive a yellow pipe signal, we're going to send a redstone signal. That now powers all 4 of these combustion engines, which then sends power over here. All right, now I have it gone into a water system. And in addition, all of these signals are going to also come down here, and each one of these is going to has, if any of the red pipes or any of the pipe signals are on, it's going to supply power. So regardless of which switch I were to press, whether engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, engine 4, and I can do multiples at a time. I can do 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or 1 and 4, and they'll all work because they're independent of each other. But regardless, whichever one I press over there, my fuel pump will also activate. So as you can see, it's now sending fuel to all of my engines. The only tough part about this, showing this, is once I turn this off, I'm going to have to wait a while before these ones activate again, because one of the, I'll call it a drawback, but one of the drawbacks of the 3.x is a machine, once it's turned off, cannot be turned back on until it is completely cooled down. But anyway, well, even though that it doesn't activate, understand that if it were cool, it would activate. So the next one is my green, and as we go back over here, you'll see now that only these set of pumps are active. And again, we see the green pipe signal on, supplies power. So now we have power coming out of this, and we are pumping water. To show you, I'll go ahead and activate the blue as well now. So as you can see, now we've got the blue and the green, and the gate over here says blue, provide redstone. If you look over here, I've got what is now another new block for BuildCraft, and that is the, it's just not all the way bottom, that is the cobblestone structure pipe. And the cool part about the cobblestone structure pipe is that can make a connection for our red, green, blue, or yellow pipe signal between any other type. Normally, a waterproof pipe and just a regular transit pipe or conductive pipe cannot connect to each other, so you wouldn't be able to send a signal across it. But using the cobblestone, you can bridge them. So by setting that in the middle here, I also prevent the power here from going into there and turning all the other engines on. So that's how we also keep them separate. So as you can see, we now have blue and green. Now I can come back over here. We'll turn off the green. And as you see, green turns off, but blue stays on. Each one of these switches controls them independently, which is really kind of cool, I think. And it's really not as complicated, I think, as a lot of people are thinking. I know a lot of people I've seen in the forums are apprehensive about making the conversion, and that's because it seems so overwhelming and complicated. But honestly, it really, I think it really simplifies things. So anyway, there was red. So you can see that one turned this one on. So all four switches control one set of engines. And I don't know how cool we are here. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop recording long enough to make sure everything cools down, so that when I hit the all button, you can see that everything comes on here. All right. So final switch thrown sends all the colors. So we look up and we see that all four power plants are active and pumping. Our fuel is pumping, so this will put us at full power. Another thing I actually wanted to mention while we're at it here, I have upgraded my RAM as of the last episode, and I think I had already recorded. I don't remember, but I was looking at my tutorial that I did for my automatic kiln, and I realized that while the frame rate increase in my game, which was an added plus, which is what I was hoping for, that apparently the rendering when I did my videos also improved a ton. Like, it looks so much better than it did before. So I'm kind of excited about that. My videos can actually look better now. So anyway, so here is what will eventually look like, only um, a lot smaller. Instead of using, you know, a different water source for each one, we're gonna have a common water source that'll be filling these, and same with the fuel. But this part is the important part, and I hadn't mentioned it yet here in my original video I did. This design I got from Space Toad, or at least I think this is his design. I watched his videos for this, and you know, he kind of had a brief glimpse of his power plant, and then he had a download on his web page to get a few of the blueprints he made. So what my intention had been was I wanted to go take this blueprint and have my builder make it, so I could kind of look at what he did and get an idea for, you know, how he set his um, engines up, so I could see how I wanted to do mine. I could never fully get it to work because my game kept crashing and corrupting. It was my test world, so it wasn't that bad, and I did have backup, so I didn't like lose everything. Um, but yeah, I never got it to fully build up, so I only kind of at one point got a glimpse where the stuff started coming in, and I think this is kind of how he did it. His piping definitely was a lot different than mine as well too. It seemed that there was a lot more pipes going around on his than mine. But then again, we'll see how mine looks once I get it enclosed and condensed and everything. But yeah, so I want to make sure I give credit, you know, as far as the design in this. This definitely is at least based on Space Toads. If it's exactly the same, then I guess great minds think alike. If not, you know, but to me this seems like it's a good plan, and it's modular, so I can kind of make it as long as I want, and possibly even do multiple rows. So we'll see when we get into my real world how we're going to fit this in, and the plans for it. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and let's head into my regular world. A few things to show here as we're going through to kind of catch you up on what we had did earlier. Alright, so we'll start with water first. I had run a bunch of piping and created this elaborate system with lenses, which I need to show that too. I did a tutorial on how to build these and how they work. So I'll probably go back into my creative world and do that. Alright, so we're going to start off with the lens, which is our new addition for Better Than BuildCraft, and definitely has me excited. And the recipe for that, we got 2 diamonds, 2 glass blocks, and then 8 gold nuggets, which you can either get from farming zombie pigmen or just taking a gold block, put in your inventory, and it'll automatically turn into gold nuggets. Alright, so as I said, we'll now show how this works. If I take a lens, put power to it, nothing happens. Put it on top, nothing happens. However, let's go ahead and take one of these. If I take and put a light block and power the light block, we now have power to our lens. And to show that, oops, there you go. You can see now it is detecting the light. Step in the middle, it no longer detects the light. So you can actually use it as a burglar alarm or mob trap or something along those lines. Turn it off, goes away. Turn it on, goes away. You can also put the switch on the block, and that's going to power your light block, which will still power this. Like I said, you can do this vertically. If you jump up there, set it down, we now have the lens pointing up. Same thing, if I jump up a few times, go over here, have it now pointing down. If I jump up here, you can see it'll point over to there, and I think I still have to, the light block has to be behind it, I believe, to work. So yep, there you go. The vertical wiring going up, down, side to side, however you want to do that. So that is pretty cool. I guess I left this on from my earlier demonstration. Well, that's what happens when you leave stuff unattended. If you see over here, I got a detector block, and if I can come around here, we look up top, you can see there's another lens up there. So at the top, and you can see right there since I stepped on it, the lens is shooting a light down here with the switch. When that detector block catches it, it lights up this block, which then sends the light through this lens all the way down towards the end, and you'll see as I get closer, I have the exact same setup. Another detector block with another light block and another lens. So I'm pretty much using those. I was able to send the signal from a lever up top all the way to my water source where I had my engine and pump and everything, so I could basically turn the pump on and off from my power plant, which was really cool. The only problem is this is such a long route that it really wasn't filling up my tanks or anything. I don't know why the oil seems to work, but the water didn't. It must have something to do with the just the mechanics of water versus oil in the game. I'm just glad oil does work, because this water, I definitely would never have felt safe having it, um, you know, keeping all my engines inside my power plant cooled. I, it just wasn't, uh, dependable enough. So, anyways, we head down over here. I'm gonna skip ahead to the next part here. Alright, so as you see, as we come up here, this is where we started going back up to get towards the surface. I had to bring it down a ways to get under all the water that you kind of see on my mini map up there. So I didn't want to have redstone going up and up and up, or having like these really tiny short, 4 block spaces for lens and detector and everything, because resource-wise they are kind of expensive. So what I ended up doing was, the output of that detector block was redstone coming under here, and then it connected to the same setup over here at this lower level, and that I took straight through to the exit of this cave, and then at the end I used a lens going up to a block detector to take it back to the surface. So just in vertical wiring, the possibility of vertical wiring, this is kind of actually pretty cool. You don't have to do the alternating blocks with the redstone torches, which means you're not going to have all those ticks of delays for a vertical wiring. You could send it up, 120 blocks, and it would be almost instantaneous. So that is, got some interesting possibilities for that, especially with 1.2 around the corner and the block limit being doubled. So you're thinking trying to send a power source, up or down 200 plus blocks. That would the delay for going through the redstone torches would probably turn into seconds. So having the ability to use the lenses is going to be kind of cool. So here was how I had my water. I had two pumps. They were taking power from this single combustion engine. Underneath here I had a wooden engine which was taking power from this water wheel over here, and the signal coming in, this redstone signal, was basically powering both. So if I take a redstone torch, do I have a redstone torch? No, but I do have an axe, so we'll go chop a tree real fast just so I can make a redstone torch. Alrighty. I should have emptied my inventory. I still have all the stuff from when I was doing my explanations of how we create all of the different objects here. There we go. I'll throw that. Alright. Do this quickly. And just to save inventory space, we'll just go ahead and make 8 of them. Alrighty. And let me actually turn my music down. I actually normally don't have my music on, but I get nostalgic for it every now and then. It's kind of fun to listen to it. Okay. So we'll take our redstone torches, and if I power this line, and you can see both the wood pump and the combustion pump both start at the same time. So if these things start to pump, I have the output of one of these heading over here to cool it off, so I wasn't going to have to worry about the overheating. And I manually filled this sucker up, which now that I'm not using it, kind of sucks. I don't know, maybe I'll use the pump to pump it back through one of these waterways sometime. So anyway, it was a good idea, but even if when I just killed this and had only one pump being powered by one combustion engine, it still wasn't enough to make it. And I even kind of played around with putting in more of the gold waterproof piping to see if that was the issue. And it looks like the only way to really do this and to make it work, and I might revisit it later because I kind of like the piping coming in. It looks cool and all, but that would be to make way stations on the way. So at say 100 blocks in, I'd have to set up a bunch of water tanks and have these fill in the tanks, and then on the back side of the tank another engine powering the intake waterproof, heading it back down. So it's gonna take more mechanical things to make it work. And well, I'll show you what I did here. Let's zoom ahead over back to base, and I'll show you what I did as a temporary and what may just end up being my permanent for a while. Alright, so here was where the pipes used to go to connect to my water system here. See, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks going from here. We're at level 58 and going all the way up to the top of the factory floor. I'll see once I get all my engines in how much extra water I need, and I can always go further down and further up without changing my setup at all. It'll just be adding extra tanks. So yeah, what we ended up doing. Oh, well, that's not good. I got a tip, and let me look really fast to see who I got that from. Hold on one sec. All right, so yeah, so I got the comment from the Russell747, who I've been actually talking a lot with here over the last couple days. He's trying to. Well, that's weird. Now the water's back again. He's trying to install the Better Than BuildCraft, but he's definitely having some issues getting it installed. And I had the same things when I was trying to update from the 2.x to 3.x. I had I was having difficulties, so I ended up trying to just install the 3x over the top of my current one, and it actually worked. And that's how I got to the point where I am right now. But apparently he's having difficulties. But the gentleman on the Better Than Wolves forum who wrote the threads on how to do this has been helping him. So hopefully he can he's got BuildCraft working, has been playing that, but hopefully he'll get the rest of the stuff going. Um, so as you can see here, I've got one pump. This is my fuel line coming in over to here through into the back. If I think it should be full right now. I filled it up the last time here. Oops, not completely. Um, for the fuel line, all I gotta do is come over here and flip this switch for this combustion, or I mean this steam engine, and she'll start pumping. Oh, and she'll start pumping if I have an intake. Um, I always put a regular one on after I'm done to ease the fuel back into the storage tank. So this will pump it over there, and I can just leave this on. Once I get to a full, like fully operational where I'm running things, I'll just leave that on all the time. That way, the water engine will always have power, which is important. Even though I've got quite a backup here, you can start going through water pretty quick when you have multiple engines all operating at full capacity. So yeah, so here's my water right now. That looks pretty good. If you look up here, all of this stuff, this is how I'm getting all of the water from one engine to the next. And we're just using simple wood engines here. And so basically this one pumps from that tank into here and all the way across. So once this one's full and this one's full, it'll basically stop. The water wheel's right back here. There's a lens setup coming down to here, which will allow me to turn it off so that once they're all the way filled, I can just turn off the system and not have to deal with, well, not really lag anymore, but there's no sense having these on if the water's all filled, which it actually is right now. So we'll head up there and we're actually going to turn that off. As you can see here, there's all my water. When this switch is on, that means that those wood engines down there are no longer running. Here's the switch that I use to turn on and off my setup back at my water source. In this case, when the light was on, then we were pumping. Alright, so here's my water room. This is kind of the design that I came up with. Here's my water room. This is where the fuel will be stored. That one tank that we were pulling off of is right here. You can see it's got that much in there. I'm going to have a similar setup here as what I am with the water down there as far as for pumping it. So the refinery here, and I'll go over this in a little bit as well, that fills up these two, and then I'll have two pumps going this way to fill up those as well. The refinery, I had it all torn apart when I did the initial description. The oil that you see here is coming from over there, following a path underneath, pops up over here, and is taking it from this fuel tank, which we are filling from downstairs. When I flip this switch, the redstone comes under here, hits this block here, which has a redstone torch on the backside to invert. Because I had to invert one of the signal to the other, because if I want the wood engines on at the same time as the combustion engine, they have to be opposite, because power going to a gearbox stops an engine, while power going to the combustion starts it. So, like I said, we have it going into this block, and then we have a redstone torch there to invert. So when this turned on, we turn on the engine, which sends power to both refineries. At the same time, like I said, we got the power coming under here, and it's hitting the gearbox that's feeding this wood engine, and the gearbox down there feeding that wood engine. Additionally, a feed coming off of that gearbox heading over to here also controls this wooden engine, which it will pump oil from our tank, sorry, into our refinery. So when I hit this switch here, everything starts working. So we start refining our oil using the power from here. Both wood engines come on to take whatever fuel we're pumping and sending it over to our tank. And back here, this wood engine is on now, so it's going to pump the oil to back to the refineries. So we can pretty much leave this on 24/7. The only issue that we then have is water. And I think I ran water. I did, I just haven't powered it yet. Okay, so I have water coming off of this tank with this wood engine. And how did I have that? I may need to look into getting that powered, because that might be connected with the other one. But that comes over here to the back and feeds that engine. So we need to figure out if this was part of the... Which setup? Was it part of the setup for yours? It couldn't have been. Alright, well, I'll tear this apart here in a little bit and I'll figure that out, but I'll go ahead and turn this off right now because I don't want to overheat the engine, especially not around this area with fuel. Alright, so those are the done completed, or almost completed. And all these parts are going to be walls with glass, so you'll be able to see into each one of these different sections as you walk by it. The hallway taking you around to it. And then this room and this room are going to be where I'm going to have my power plants. I will probably do it initially in this one, and I should have room. It was 4 spaces for each engine, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could put 3 engines in here, and I could probably put 3 engines in here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Well, we'll see. We'll play around with it. Once I get to where I'm ready to actually do this for real, I might even decide to take out this wall and just make it one room like it originally was and go this way. I can always, as I'm doing in some of these places over here, I can just false this wall in to make it so it's level going across and use the back for just running piping or whatnot. It's all a work in progress still. Yeah, like see right here, this is just going to be false. I'll cover it up and it'll just to make the path and the spacing look good. Over here I have my first 2 assembly tables, and I had my first laser, but I accidentally put the laser down instead of an assembly table, and not knowing what would happen, I just beat it up with my hand, kind of like you do when you're placing pistons, and it just disappeared. So apparently you have to break a laser with a pick or else you don't get the laser back. So I went a couple diamonds down the tube. But what I'll end up doing, like I said, I'll have 2 here, 2 here, 2 there, 2 there, so I can have 4 lasers, and we'll be feeding power coming in through the roof. Even though I have lighting up here, I'm going to drop the roofing down so that I can run my power lines through the ceiling for my lasers and stuff. And not only that, then I can get rid of all these torches, because I found out that I had the torches up too high And, well, not necessarily too high, but too far apart at the height they were, because I was getting creepers and stuff spawning in here and having to kill stuff every time I came in, which is why I had to put torches back. So we'll lower the ceiling down, leave a space for walking through so I can run all my power from my power plant to my lasers. And yeah, that should be good. I'm going to leave here. We'll go back to my test world, and then we'll go through some of the recipes for crafting this stuff, since there really isn't a lot of information online for this yet. Most of the stuff you search for is just going to give you the basic BuildCraft 2.x recipes and not the 3.x. So with that, let's go ahead and log out of here, and let's head back over to our creative world and go through some recipes. So now we got the laser and the assembly table. So first thing we're going to do is our laser. And that we have to use our anvil for. Actually, most of the stuff you have to use the anvil for. Alrighty. Oh, let's see. I'm combining recipes. All right. We don't even use diamonds on this one. Well, not we use diamonds, but not that kind of diamond. All right. Throw in a couple lenses, some redstone, and an actual diamond, and we have a laser. So I guess their theory behind it. You got the 2 lenses, got a diamond narrowing the beam down, and some redstone. Honestly, I would have put the redstone at the back, but and that's how they create a laser. And then the next item, and I believe, let me make sure on that one. Go one more. All right, we go like that. And we got the diamonds, got the redstone, and then we got the redstone eye. And there's our assembly table. So we'll make one of those. Alright. So the laser, and let's put it over here so I can actually mount this. I probably am going to I'll have to do some pre-staging to get this to work, but if you open this up, put in some redstone, we're able to make a redstone chipset. As you put in other items, redstone diamond chipset. If we had, let's see what else we can come up with. We need gold and iron. Adding those to the mix can make us a gold and an iron chipset. So there's our chipsets that you can make. Now, and I'm kind of going from memory again here, but now we need dyes. So, where's my dyes? Oh, they're at the bottom. Lapis is one of them. And we need dandelion yellow. I'll just get rid of this stuff for now. Alright, I think we need the red and cactus green. Let's take a peek. Cactus green will give me the green pipe wire. Lapis will give us the blue pipe wire. Dandelion yellow gives us our yellow pipe wire. And yes, the rose red gives us our red pipe wire. Now for the gates, we actually have to have the chips in here along with some other stuff. So on my next episode, when I actually build my assembly table with my lasers and stuff, we'll get into the other more complex recipes of the gates, the ANDs and the OR gates, and the different types. Because the iron, gold, diamond, depending on the level you make it, and it takes, more resources, you have more. Well, I'll show you here. Alright, so we're back over here, and here is our basic gate. And while it gives us empty liquid traversing, it does give us all the tank possibilities, as well as redstone. So looks like there's no difference between that one and say a diamond one. other than the diamond one is going to give us the red pipe signals, and that's it. If you come up, like I said, you see I put all the red pipe on each one of these. We'll do the same thing over here. This is our basic gate, and it's going to give me pipe empty, liquid traversing, redstone signal on, off, and that's it. As well as only one space. If I go to the iron and gate, I now get red pipe signal on, red pipe signal off, the pipe empty, liquid traversing, redstone, and that's it. The gold gives us red pipe signal and blue pipe signal, the traversing the pipe, redstone on and off, and then as well as the 4 slots. And the diamond, if you want to do a fully functioning, then you need to go to diamond, because that'll give you the red pipe signal, blue pipe signal, green pipe signal, yellow pipe signal, as well as the empty or traversing and the redstone power. So that is your big differences, the number of events you can program and the number of redstone pipe, or the pipe colors you can program. So if you're having to do multiple things, you'll have to go with the diamond. Yeah. So I guess that's a pretty good basic tutorial as far as how these gates work. And we already showed on my power plant how you can use them. I guess the only other thing too, let me do that real quick, is since I'm at it, just 'cause I'm trying to, get as much as I can in this episode now that I have time. Alright, so let's say you got the pipes coming in, and then we'll go some waterproof pipes coming in. As you can see, they don't quite meet. And if we were trying to run, say, some red pipe wire, I guess we'll pick that up first. Alright, so say we're trying to run red pipe wire. See, it's going across, comes up to there, comes up to there, but it doesn't connect. Now, if I were to take and put in this cobblestone, as you can see, it bridges the 2 different pipe types. So that's how you can use it to prevent one pipe moving into the other if it's the same type, or if you're just trying to run a signal across 2 different things that aren't. So let's say, this comes over here and does that, and this comes over here and does that. You can put that in there to still run your signal across. So yeah, that I think is going to do it. Again, I apologize. It's not my normal type of episode. I don't really do those world tours very often. But we do what we got to do. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you learned something from the episode. Episode 10, when we actually start building these gates and stuff and setting up my actual power plant, should be very educational as well. So hopefully I'll make up for this episode in my next one. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Like it and let your friends know, as well as myself, know that you did enjoy it. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, leave a comment for me. I promise I will reply to all comments, and I definitely read them all as well. And subscribe if you haven't already, so you can be notified of any future episodes. I try to do a couple of these a week, in addition to any tutorials I might do. And I'll probably be doing a tutorial here very shortly on my power plant, just for building purposes. The walkthrough here was more educational, how it works, but I'll do one that's more based on building, and maybe build a couple of the sections of the power plant for that. But subscribe and you'll be notified of any of those future updates. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.